could I very respectfully ask everybody to chill for a second with being mad about video games on the internet all the time? How it seems exhausting. What's going on? Yes, it is a big ask to go to people on Twitter or X of all places and ask them not to be constantly complaining about stuff. This seems to be the only thing that the site is really good for. But I don't get this level of vitriol when it comes to video games, not in the way that I'm seeing here. Specifically with the, it seems like it's a tradition at this point. People, there are two camps on the internet when it comes to video games and the depiction of characters in them. Either people are mad that a character is too hot, or they're just as mad that the character is not hot enough. We saw this recently with Stellar Blade. People were complaining that Eve, the protagonist of the game, is just too sexy. And I went to check it out because I'm not familiar with this game at all. I play exclusively, where's my little emulator? It's not here. This thing right here, you've seen it tons of times, you know it. This is what I play, this in VR, which by the way, I owe you guys a video about VR. I've been like crazy addicted to that thing. Anyway, I didn't see this game, right? So I went to check it out, and that's the protagonist. And sure, attractive, but like, she's so attractive that people are mad about this? Like, she seems like a, I don't know, maybe I'm the wrong one. I don't know, should I be mad at this? Then, if you go back further, remember the Tracer victory pose controversy? For those who don't remember, I made a video about this 1,000 years ago. Tracer originally had a victory pose that some people deemed to be too sexy. And yeah, you can see her ass, I suppose. But honestly, to find this too sexy makes me think you guys are kind of prudish a little bit. I don't mean this as an insult, okay? If that's your thing, if you don't like seeing these kinds of things, I totally respect that. But it is kind of odd. Maybe this is the Brazilian in me. Where I grew up, this is what the kids' TV show hosts looked like, right? This right here, that scene, this is on basic cable in the middle of the day. So again, I'll get out in front of it and say that maybe I'm the wrong one. But is it really that bad to see attractive people in these video games? Okay, is this thing? Yeah, it's working. Hey everybody, it's Editing Izzy here, interrupting myself to let you know that while I was getting footage for this part of the video, I became reacquainted with the fact that Brazilian kids programming in the 80s and 90s was absolutely insane. Just to give you an idea, Xuxa, the #1 celebrity in that space, she, at one point on her show, decided to play her hit single of the moment, which was like some sort of like indigenous Brazilian celebration type thing. At least I'm sure that's what she thought it meant. It's a song where she like sings in like the broken Portuguese syntax that at the time people associated with the indigenous populations. And she's doing like what she believes, I guess, looks like traditional native like Brazilian dancing. And she's doing it right to their face. Because did I mention they brought a whole bunch of honest to goodness real life indigenous Brazilians to the show. So she's doing all of this as they stare in disbelief, I imagine, thinking the Tupi-Guarani equivalent of, what the f*** is this white bitch doing? Holy fuck. Okay, look, Brazilian TV is riddled with moments such as this one. So if you guys would like me to dive into this, I would love nothing more than to explore these insane moments with you. So let me know in the comments down below. You know how it works. Anyway, back to the original video you're watching. But then you go to the other side of the spectrum, and then you got people mad that a character isn't hot enough, which seems just as silly, if not more silly. We had that with Horizon, right? Aloy. People said that she looked fugly up there. Again, totally normal chick. What the hell is wrong with you guys? I saw some people saying that this is people's brain on like consuming way too much on the internet. There's some truth to that. Honestly, if you see a video game character and the first thing you're fixated on to the point of being angry is whether they're too sexy or not sexy enough, I feel like both people on this equation here, both sides, have unhealthy ideas about like human sexuality on both sides of the spectrum, right? I get it if you see a video game and then there's like the characters are all like, you know, girls that look like they'd be more at home on the cover of like a Playboy or something like that. I get it. It looks kind of silly. It looks a little bit juvenile. I'll give you that, right? But this level of anger I see on the internet, it's so weird to me. Star Wars Outlaws recently center of controversy. Why? Because the protagonist of the game, who was modeled, by the way, on a real-life human being, flesh and bone just like you and me, she exists. There she is right there. But this is what the character looks like. It's pretty different. And again, I'll say, people saying that the character has been made ugly, I feel like you're exaggerating a little bit. And of course, beauty is a very, very subjective thing. I find that, like, it's totally normal. Like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? It's just some chick in a video game. You're gonna be seeing the back of her most of the game, right? Like, why does it even matter? Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda was one that also comes to mind, where the model looked like this, but her video game counterpart looks more like this. So it's odd. People who say that changes have been made primarily for ideological reasons, to use the language that they often use, because the companies went woke or whatever the hell. Like, honestly, sure. But I feel like you're missing the forest for the trees here. It's not that the companies went woke, it's that they just felt that this is what probably will maximize their sales. At the end of the day, they're companies. They want your money more than anything else. It's just that, I guess, most companies feel that enough people agree with the sentiment that it's worthwhile to try to cater to these people. There's nothing inherently terrible with that. If you have a problem with that, realistically, you have a problem with capitalism, which you should have, because look around. Can you honestly tell me that there's nothing wrong going on with the system we set up? Look, here's the deal, right? Hot people exist. I've seen them. They're out there. They exist, which means they will turn up in works of media, right? Like, primarily, that's what you're going to see in a movie or the cover of magazines, and yes, in video games. I understand the rhetoric, okay? You don't have to repeat it. You don't have to regurgitate. Look, I've heard it. I am chronically online just as you, right? I know what is the usual answer to what I'm saying, right? These reinforce stereotypes about body image that are unattainable, which causes problems for people, blah, 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 sure. And to the people on the other side who get super mad because the video game model that you're barely really looking at, right? Like, again, how hot a video game character looks or doesn't look plays a very small part in your enjoyment of the game, or at least it should. In case you don't know, you can go on this very computer or phone where you're watching me, and you can look at a bunch of ladies with no clothes on doing all sorts of things. So this demand that every video game character needs to be super hot, or otherwise you're going to be super mad about it, again, it's just a little bit strange, right? My personal take on this, and speaking of take, this is my 5th take because I keep hitting this stupid thing. My take on this is that I care very little if a video game character is hot or not. I think that the idea that people get so riled up about this is part of the reason why I hate the internet, or at least what it has become in the last few years. I'll leave you with this. I'm a pretty short guy. How weird would it be if every time there's a video game and the video game character doesn't look like me, I get super mad about it? Like, this would say probably more about me than the game, right? This whole way of thinking that if I'm looking at a piece of fiction and the person there does not look like me, I'll be angry about it. It's a little silly to me, no matter where it comes from. I feel like everybody needs to chill on both sides of this equation. Like I said, I get the arguments for representation. I understand why that is very important to a lot of people. I'll tell you this, when I was a kid, my favorite Ranger, the Blue Ranger, and the shirt was a coincidence. The Blue Ranger, because he wore glasses. So I kind of like, oh, hey, he wears glasses like me. But I was 10, right? Like, look, I don't want to seem callous, right? Like, I understand that this matters a lot to a lot of people. But enough to, like, be picking fights with strangers on the internet. What do you think? Let's get down to brass tacks here. If your whole argument is that this is bad for your mental well-being, do you find that arguing with a bunch of weirdos on the internet who wanted the video game lady to have bigger tits, do you think that's doing wonders for your mental well-being? Do you see what I'm saying here? I'm not even saying that you're entirely wrong, because a lot of these arguments, they do convince me. They seem very sound. But dude, look, do you want to talk dystopia? Look at the world around you and consider that people are spending so much energy debating, getting angry about video game TNA. It's weird. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But what do you think? Am I a dumbass? It could be. You wouldn't be the first person saying this. Let me know in the comments down below. I am so happy to be back here with you guys. You have no idea. I hope you can see that. I want to have these conversations with you guys again. I miss you guys. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'll be seeing you guys again very soon. My there it goes again. My son of a, I have to like